Recently, I was going down one of those research rabbit holes that can be very fun, but also incredibly distracting, and came across a very short but very poignant poem by Loreen Niederker, in which the speaker's grandfather advises them to learn a trade, to which the speaker responds, and I quote, "I learned to sit at a desk and condense." I love how those three short and direct lines summarize in one gulp the work of the poet and of any writer. Of course, there's more to it. We all know that. But somehow, reading those lines felt true to the work we do because we find it meaningful and because we believe in it. There's also the fact that there are no layoffs in this kind of work, like Niederker points out. Unless you decide to fire yourself, you can do this work for as long as you like. So, you have been working on a manuscript for quite some time and have a good number of poems that relate to each other in some way. Maybe because they touch on the same topics, or maybe you're focusing on one or two elements of craft that thread throughout the whole collection. Maybe you've built your collection like a story and you have a kind of arc to guide your readers. But how do you know if your collection is finished? This is a question I've been asked a lot, and to be honest, my answer is always the same. You just know, deep in your gut, that it is. You feel it's finished. And yeah, maybe this sounds new agey and it's not very helpful, so I'll offer a few more concrete things that you can pay attention to as you put everything together.
Welcome to the Poetry Lab podcast. The Poetry Lab is a place in your community to write, read, and collaborate. We want to help you find the time, the courage, and the inspiration you need to keep writing your new shit. Are you ready, poet? Let's get into it.
Welcome, dear listeners, to another episode of the Poetry Lab podcast. This is Leonora Simonovis, and today I'll be talking about what to do after you finish your poetry manuscript, what the submission process is like, and how to go about sending your manuscript out without losing your mind. Number 1. Have your poems been read by other folks, friends, mentors, etc.? Have you received and incorporated helpful feedback? It's always good to have others read your poems, since they will probably see things that you don't and might offer other perspectives or ask questions that will allow you to see your work in a different way, and in conversation with other contemporary poets. 2. How do you feel about the manuscript's title? Is it catchy enough? Does it represent what the collection is about or give some context for readers? Remember that titles are very important. And if you're sending work out, many publishers will have tons of manuscripts to get through. A title can make all the difference and draw your reader in. 3. How do you feel about the order of your poems, the connections between them? Is your manuscript divided into sections? Do you have epigraphs? How does it all look together? If someone asks you why you chose this order or why your manuscript has sections, are you able to answer this without questioning your decision? 4. In looking at the manuscript as a whole, do all poems look the same on the page? And what I mean by this is, are many of your poems written in couplets or tercets? Are some of them written in form? Do you have prose poems or hybrid pieces? How are they distributed throughout? If someone asks you why you decided to organize the poems in this particular way, how would you respond? 5. If you have any facts, quotations, or lines from other work, make sure you have notes that reflect all of that at the end of the manuscript. 6. Write your acknowledgement page, not only for the work that was published, but also because it's a good gratitude practice. Who helped you along the way? Who supported and encouraged you? Whether organizations of people, make sure you let them know how much their support means to you. For me, This was one of the most rewarding experiences when getting my manuscript ready for publication. In writing each name, I remembered and it felt good to know how many folks became a part of my life because of poetry. 7. Before you send your manuscript out, write a 100 to 150 word blurb or elevator pitch that summarizes what your manuscript is about. This is something you will have to do once it gets accepted for publication, and also during events, readings, and conversations with other writers. So it's good to have an idea of what to say. Also, in writing the blurb, you might realize things you hadn't thought of before. 8. Revise, revise, revise one last time. Make sure that when you send your work out, you're satisfied with it. Yes, you can always revise more. But right now, have you done all you can to send the best version of this work out? Then you're ready. Most poetry manuscripts chosen for publication are done so through contests, with a few presses offering open periods where you can submit your work. It's important to do some research before you begin submitting, so that you have an idea of where you'd like to send your manuscript and whether the presses you've chosen have open periods or not. It's also key to find out how much each submission will cost. Yes, my friends, none of this is free. And when submissions open, it's important to know that too. If you're submitting to a contest, is the judge someone whose work you admire and who has inspired you to write? When I started submitting my manuscript in 2020, I chose contests with BIPOC judges, as I thought they'd be more open to the type of work I was writing at the time. There are no guarantees, of course, since contests have screeners who will read and pass along work to the judges, and in the end, it's a very subjective process. I think we all agree that something has to change, and that the culture of scarcity when it comes to resources in the publishing industry needs to be reframed. So for now, we work with what we have. As a side note, if you don't have a submittable account, make sure you open one up as soon as you can. Poet Karen Zhang has a wonderful article in the Poetry Lab's Resource Center about using Submittable to keep track of your submissions. There is a link in the notes if you want to check it out. Okay, so you're ready to submit your manuscript. Now what? Well, here are a few more tips I found helpful in my own journey. First, do your research thoroughly and make a list of presses you'd like to submit to. Take a look at what they publish, their mission and vision, and read their guidelines very carefully. Poets and Writers has a great database where you can find information on small presses with submission deadlines and links to their pages. I have included a link in the episode notes. Emily Stotter's Poetry Bulletin is a great resource as well, and she offers a lot of information about submission fees, trends, and publication data. Number 2, once you have an idea, create a budget for yourself. How much are you willing to spend on submissions? Stick to your budget as much as you can. Number 3, create a spreadsheet or a document with a list of presses, deadlines, fees, and response times if available, as well as links to their guidelines. This will help you keep track of your submissions in a more detailed way. You can add other categories too, make notes, and even copy-paste any useful comments you receive. Emily Stoddard offers a spreadsheet in her newsletter, so you can use that as a guide as well. When I started submitting, I organized my submissions by deadline. Each month, I would send out the manuscript and track that on my sheet. This helped me organize, but also felt good to cross each submission out on the list as they went out. And number 4, once you have made your list and have your budget ready, read the guidelines for each submission very carefully. Each press is different and will have different requirements for formatting and what to include with your submission. Give yourself time and a task. For example, I will submit to the first 4 presses on my list by this date. Prepare each submission carefully and label them so that you have it all ready to go once you sign into Submittable or whatever submission engine the press uses. Some presses might use a different submission engine, which is where your spreadsheet comes in handy. That way, you don't have to try to remember what you sent where. As you begin to submit your work, keep in mind that it's a long process. You'll receive quite a few rejection letters. I have started calling them no thank you letters because the phrase makes me smile. And that's part of the process. One of my mentors in my MFA program told me that every manuscript has a home, and I truly believe that. Remind yourself why you're doing this, why you decided on this writing life, and what it has brought you, the people you've met, the experiences you've had, and the things you've learned. You will feel tempted after every no thank you to pull out your manuscript and continue to revise. Wait at least a year before you do so. Remind yourself you did everything you needed to do before you began to submit. Remind yourself you felt satisfied with the work. Let it do its magic. This process takes time and a ton of patience. Good luck, poet. You've got this. If you liked this episode, please give us a like and a follow and help us spread the word about our podcast by texting the link to a few creative friends. You can also find us at thepoetrylab.com/podcast. Be sure to check out our curated playlist for a deeper look on DIY marketing tips, writing techniques, and inspiration to create. Again, I'm Leonora Simonovis, and you can find me on Instagram at Leo Simonovis, or check out my website, leonorasimonovis.com. That's all for now. I'll catch you soon at the Poetry Lab.